kick off. There we go.
So thank you very much, Stephen, for inviting me back, and everyone else for bearing with me and listening to my dulcet tones again. And so this is entitled "The Importance of Eating," and I've taken the majority of it from the Shem Shmuel, Bornstein, Sokocha Rebbe. He starts the Ramah in Orach Chaim. This carries on to what Avi was saying partly this morning, halacha. The Ramah in Orach Chaim in Shulchan Aruch says that the Purim Seudah should be made after Mincha on Purim, although the majority of the meal must be held in daylight hours and before nightfall. However, this halacha seems to be in conflict with the well-known halachic principle of performing mitzvahs at the earliest opportunity, and therefore, based on the principle to perform mitzvahs at the earliest opportunity, it would seem far better if we ate our Purim Seudah as early as possible. Furthermore, we read in the Megillah that La'asois Osom Yemei Mishteh V'Simcha U'Mashloach Manos Ish L'Reyehu U'Matzonos L'Avyonim. Days of feasting and rejoicing, to send food gifts and presents to the poor. Once again, this pasuk would suggest that the Seudah should be eaten before the mitzvahs of Mishloach Manos and Matzonos L'Avyonim, since the word Mishteh in the Megillah in the pasuk is written first. So a possible answer might be because there is another halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, which says that a person should not, on the contrary, should get intoxicated at the Purim Seudah, and therefore it makes sense to leave it until last, in case our minds are affected by the alcohol and we are unable to perform the other mitzvahs with clarity and understanding. However, if this were the case, we would be instructed to eat the Seudah immediately after performing the other mitzvahs, and not have to wait until almost the end of the day to start the festive meal. So let's explore a bit about the nature of a Seudas mitzvah. We look at Malachim Aleph. After Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon asked God for wisdom, he had a dream. And these events followed that dream, as explained by the Medrash in Shir HaShirim Rabbi. Pasuk says, "Vayikat Shlomo v'inech halom," and Shlomo awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And the Medrash says that a donkey brayed, and Shlomo understood it. A bird chirped, and Shlomo HaMelech understood it. And once Shlomo HaMelech had acquired this tremendous gift of being able to understand the language of birds and animals, it says, "Vayavo Yerushalayim," he came to Jerusalem, and he stood before the ark of the covenant of God, and he offered offerings, and he made a feast for all his servants. The Medrash continues. Rabbi Elazar said that from here we learn that one makes a Seudah for completing Torah learning. Once Shlomo HaMelech had acquired the gift of wisdom from God, he made the feast, he made the Seudah. But why does Shlomo HaMelech feel, and indeed ourselves, when we conclude the piece of learning, that making a feast was an appropriate celebration? The one possible suggestion, says the Shem Shmuel, is that the Seudah, which is a very physical act of eating, helps us to remember the Torah, the spirituality of the Torah we have just completed, which is, as I said, which is spiritual nature. So the physical act of eating helps us to remember the spiritual act of learning Torah, the Torah that we've acquired. So perhaps the act of eating helps a person to internalize the Torah they have learned, making it an intrinsic part of a person. At the start of Parshas Kedoshim, take it a step further. Parshas Kedoshim, the Torah says, "Lo yisei lech rochil ba'mecho." Don't go round as a talebearer amongst your people. Lo yisamoid adam re'ech ani Hashem. Don't stand aside while your fellow's blood is shed. I am Hashem. And Targum Onkelos translated as Loi say Hul Kurtzin. Interesting that Kurtzin means winking. Because when two people talk behind somebody's back, or they talk disparagingly about somebody in front of them, they sign to each other. So the Onkelos wanted to say use that word Kurtzin in Aramaic, which apparently means winking. So they make it known to only each other what each other are saying. So Rashi explains that the practice in biblical times was to eat a snack in the house of someone who accepted their words. This indeed was a strong indication that the words spoken were regarded as true. So, taking this idea of internalizing words to a su'udah, and Shlomo HaMelech making a su'udah after acquiring tremendous wisdom, so as to solidify his wisdom through the physical act of eating, we can begin to understand why Chazal instituted the idea of a siyum upon completing learning. By making a su'udah, a meal, after learning a portion of Torah or Talmud, we can help ourselves remember that Torah we had worked hard to learn. Let's revisit the verse from the Megillah, which says, again, to make days of feasting, v'simcha, and joy, v'mishloach manos, ishrayehu, u'makonos, u'evyoinim. Make them days of feasting and rejoicing, to send food, gifts, and presents to the poor. This idea of making days of feasting doesn't occur in other contexts. We're told to rejoice with regards to other festivals, but this idea of making them days of feasting is unique to Purim. As I said, we're definitely told to rejoice, but not using these exact words, which is unique to Purim. So we can now explain that when Chazal mapped out the performance of the mitzvahs of Purim, they placed the feast last, so that we can use it to solidify all the other mitzvahs of Purim and enable them to have a lasting effect on us, helping us to make the most of our time on the festival of Purim. Thank you.
Extend it as long as possible. Just thought, is that principle used on Purim? That's why they have a late Suda in order just to keep on celebrating.
The idea of extending the mitzvah, when I went to yeshiva in Beis Yisrael, it was in Bayit Ladan, it is anymore. And there was the shul next door was the Amshin of shul. And apparently never went there in my year in Beis Yisrael, but I remember that they used to daven forever. They used to carry on their davening, always extend it. And I think there's this idea that when you do a mitzvah, you try and extend the mitzvah. You try. Obviously, we're not allowed to add to mitzvah, so you can't put two mitzvahs on your door, and you can't, keep Shabbos on Sunday as well. But there is this idea of extending mitzvahs, and I think that's possibly where what you say is absolutely true. That there are times where we can extend it. The Purim Suda, as we said, it goes late into the night, and that is, I suppose there is a principle that one should extend the mitzvahs and try and elaborate and beautify.
Purim Suda, and you extend it into the night, and you then bench night Purim and listen, because you started the Suda in daylight. Yeah, only problem what do you say, Yalevi over, not Yalevi? Another question.
Well, I heard this said here 10 years ago, a couple of this he said you do would say Yalevi or I'll with you both. And helpfully there, all three opinions he said logically don't do both, because it's not Schrodinger's version, it's either Shabbos, and if you basically it's Shabbos, unless you've had bread after Shabbos.
Yeah. And the other thing is, have you ever been there for Shushan Purim?
No, I haven't.
No. No. Give some those.
You have to sleep outside of Yerushalayim. I went somewhere when they were observing. It wasn't for me, but then I came back to Yeah.
Right, okay, that was great. Thank you so much, Rabbi Nicky. Thank you for that. Very interesting as usual. So I will bid you all farewell. We will see you next Tuesday after Purim. So hopefully you'll all be still sober by Tuesday morning for next week's speaker. I will turn off the recording button now, and then I'll do the. Oh no, 1 second. Right.